No. Okay.
This is the Village of Peotone Village Board meeting for November 24th, 2014. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Reichert.
Here.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Wicker.
Here.
Mr. Hack.
Here.
Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Forsyth.
Here. Fellow trustees, in your packets were the Village of Peotone Village Board minutes from November 10th, 2014. If there's no corrections or questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve said minutes.
I have one thing. Donna, under the public comment, with respect to Blue Devil Drive, there's a sentence that the school is willing to pay 50%. I would like that to, I believe that I presented it as maybe willing, or might.
Might be willing.
The committee would bring that to their board. They
Okay.
certainly did not commit to that.
Entertain the idea.
I will make
Correct.
that motion.
Anything else in the minutes?
I would move to approve based on that correction.
Second.
Motion by trustee Callahan, second by trustee Hupkey. Clerk?
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
And Mr. Forsyth.
Yes. Trustees, in your packet is the accounts payable and payroll. The payroll pay period ending in November 8th, 2014, $42,157.68. Accounts payable general fund, $31,796.53. Water and sewer fund, $2,457.97. Total for all these funds, $34,254.50. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion, we pay the bills. Second.
Motion by trustee Wicker, second by trustee Reichert.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth.
Yes. At this time, it's the public comment and/or questions portion of our meeting. Seeing that there is no public at this time, we will move on to the reports of committees, officials, and staff. Trustees, in your packets was the clerk collector's report and treasurer's report. The police chief not here tonight.
Chief Morton went home this afternoon ill, so.
So we'll move on to the engineer's report.
I have nothing new to report.
Trustees, any questions for the engineer? Hearing none, we'll move on to old business, which there is none. We'll carry on to new business. Police pension report. The Police Pension Board submits their annual report to the village board. This was in your packet. This is informational.
No, there's no formal action, they just have to submit it to us, and, you know, I think Mr. Rock was planning to be here, but he's apparently gotten delayed, so, you know, at the very least, we can acknowledge that we've received the police pension report for this year, and move on.
Okay, if he comes later on in the meeting, we can speak.
Before we skip that, George, do you feel comfortable talking about it in any respect, or would you prefer?
I would prefer not to, because it's not my report, and
Okay.
I've not talked to anyone about it more than
Okay.
we're talking about it right now, so. Sorry.
No, I understand.
The next item is to ratify the Peotone American Legion request for the Gifts for Yanks collection for November 15, 2014. Trustees, if you recall, the Legion came to us on the November 10th meeting, so we just have to ratify and get a motion to approve their request.
Motion. Second.
Motion by trustee Huckey, seconded by trustee Wicker.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth.
Yes. Next line item is ordinance, an ordinance for the levying of and assessing of the 2014 taxes for the village of Peotone, Will County, in Illinois. George?
The levy ordinance stipulates the maximum levy the village may establish. Staff has prepared a levy ordinance reflecting a 3% increase in the levy. 3% increase is intended to capture structures not currently assessed on the tax rolls. Those structures which are currently assessed will experience a levy increase equivalent to the 2014 Consumer Price Index of 1.5%. This does not mean that tax bills will go up 1.5%, as the tax bill is a function of additional factors such as assessment and the action of other governmental units. It only means that the total amount of money the village may request collectively can increase by that percentage applicable. These standards indicate that corporate and special purpose levies, when extended, would increase from $589,000 to $600,200, 600,200, corporate without bond and interest. As the levy increase is stipulated at 5% or less, a public hearing is not required. And if I can, I will take one moment to read the total of the funds for general corporate purposes: $285,700. Municipal auditing fund, $5,000. Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, $10,000. Social Security Fund, $45,000. Medicare Fund, $7,500. Liability, Unemployment, and Workers' Compensation Insurance Fund, $72,000. Police Protection Fund, $80,000. Police Pension Fund, $95,000. Total all funds, $600,200.
Trustees, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the 2014 tax levy ordinance, which would be ordinance 14-17.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Reichert, second by trustee Ricker.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth.
Yes. Next on the agenda is a resolution allocating tax levy to individual funds of the village property tax extensions limitation law as amended.
This resolution accompanies and is filed with our levy ordinance. And basically, it states that in the event the county clerk finds it necessary to reduce the levies established in the levy ordinance to remain within the property tax cap, this resolution directs the county clerk to limit the levy in specific funds. And basically, it's equally on a percentage basis across all the funds, is the way the resolution reads. If we don't do this, then in theory at least, the county clerk can cut wherever he or she wants. So now typically they call us and would ask us if that happens, but this way it gives them direction and it's in writing. So.
Trustees, any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the tax levy allocation resolution. It'd be resolution 14-R07.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Wicker, second by trustee Reichert.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth.
Yes. Trustees, next on the agenda is a resolution adopting the countywide all-hazard mitigation plan. Mr. Gray?
Federal legislation, the Federal Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 requires communities and agencies to develop a hazard mitigation plan. Adoption of a plan is an eligibility requirement for federal emergency funding. Will County, through its Emergency Management Agency, has developed a county-wide plan. This plan was developed with input and cooperation from local municipalities and agencies. By adopting this plan, the village meets the federal requirements and does not need to develop an individual plan. This document is a few hundred pages in length, but I've included a executive summary for your review. Simply put, we're required, if we wish to remain eligible for emergency federal funding, we're required to have a hazard mitigation plan. By participating with the county in theirs, we are meeting that requirement at the local level. The county has several meetings with local officials, local EMA officials, and this is a product of those meetings. Chief Moore, as our emergency management director, does recommend approval of the adoption of the plan.
Trustees, any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution for the countywide all hazards mitigation plan, resolution 14-R08.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Wicker.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Wicker.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
And Mr. Forsythe.
Yes. Trustees, at this time, I'd like to move back up to line item A, the police pension report.
Thank you. Sorry if I was running a little late this evening. Barkley. I'm David Rock, and several years ago I sat at the table up there, so I know the attorney there. Give an update regarding the pension as of April 30, 2014. Hopefully there was in your packet information on it. Great. I guess where I'm going to focus on is on about the third from the bottom on the chart is the unfunded liability, because I think that's the most important number when this is all said and done. That is the amount of funds that would be needed to be invested in order to fully fund the pension requirements, or the actuarial estimates of the future liabilities. That number has been going up, as you can see, from 2009. The unfunded liability was $1,573,000. It ended this last year at $2,300,000. It's approximately a $275,000 increase from last year. That increase in the unfunded liability is, I guess there's two things that are involved in that that I would highlight, is that the pension, the actuarial projections are based upon a 7% return. That's what they use. It's good that it's held constant from a standpoint of analysis from year to year, but from a 7% return in what the market is today, it's not realistic. Our return last year was 2.53% on the fund. The fund is limited under state statute to not more than 10% in equities. So a big chunk of the investment is in fixed instruments, CDs. So actually to have a 2.5% return was pretty good for the mix of the allowed in fund. The other aspect of it is what I would refer to as our small life pool that we have to with the officers. We have a total of 8 active employees in the fund, and that's just too small of a pool from a risk standpoint. And this past year, there wasn't an added an annuitant for disability purposes. So from a standpoint of analysis, from an actuarial standpoint, that was higher or a sooner payout on a percentage proportional basis to the pool. So that increased the liability, having an actual annuitant on disability compared to what the normal or a larger pool would have for the number of disability participants. So, with that said, looking for the numbers here. Under the actuarial formula, the levy requirement is just under $160,000, $159,091. That's, as you notice, is an increase every year in that number. I'll take that back. 2012 actually had a slight decrease. I anticipate that levy requirement will continue to increase each and every year. Reasoning behind that is because we aren't getting a 7% return. And the other reason is that then the unfunded liability is being amortized over an original 40-year period, which is now down to 32 years. So as and that 40 years was based upon when the fund started, and the unfunded liabilities to be amortized over a 40-year period. So as we go on and on, the number of years in order to finalize and bring it to a fully funded gets less, along with the lower returns, is going to continue to see that levy requirement to increase each and every year. Which, when you look at the levy requirement compared to the annual payroll, you can see where that is becoming a very large percentage of your overall police personnel costs for the police pension fund liability. So while the levy requirements is $159,000, I ask each year if there could be more put in, and also anticipate that given the finances, there probably won't be. But I'll always ask for more to be put into the fund to help increase or decrease the unfunded liability, provide more investment opportunities. And one of the goals is to get it up. I didn't pull this number out for certain. Attorney may be able to help me. I think $2.5 million is when a fund gets to $2.5 million, the investment opportunities become broader, and hopefully then you could increase your yield more. But we're only at slightly more than $1 million right now, $1.2 million approximately. So we're still a long ways from the $2.5 million in order to increase the investment opportunities, but only way to get there is by continuing to fund into it. So, like I said, my one I wanted to concentrate on is the unfunded liability. I think that's a very important number to look at. In the last week in the paper, it had in there about the fund balance increasing, which is great, but not good when you look at the unfunded liability portion. That's the number you really want to see go down, not so much see that the amount in the investment pool goes up.
Trustees, do you have any questions or comments?
What's the effect, and I realize it might not be a static answer, so maybe you can't give it to me. If we had another officer go on disability, for example, how would that affect the numbers as they stand now? I mean, what kind of deviation does that create?
I'm going to say that of the about $275,000 increase, I'm going to guess about $150,000 of that was the result of the disability, the officer going into disability.
Okay. And then also...
And it was an off-duty disability too. And if it was an on-duty disability, it would have been more.
It would have been more. With accrued liability, going from 2009 to 2014, it looks like that's basically doubled. Is that a function of the number of vested officers, or I mean, how does that? What does that mean? I guess is the first question. Accrued liability.
The accrued liability is the total would be the total amount of funds that if you were to stop paying in and not have another employee go on, and everybody was just going to be paid out, basically the village ceased to provide police services. I'll take this as a really bizarre, outsourced it. So everybody that's in there right now has got accrued liability, and when they retire, then they would have, be able to pull out of that fund. In order to have enough funds today, it would take the $3.5 million that you need to have in an investment account today, earning 7%, in order to pay the actuarial assumptions out for the expected life of those officers for their retirement benefits.
Okay. How does it go from 1.7 5 years ago to 3.5 now? Is that more officers on the force, or how is that? It doesn't look like that's the reason.
So there'd be, time is one of it. As you get closer to retirement, you have to have the funds in there for to draw out. So as, I mean, it's kind of the philosophy, you gotta save a lot, save a little when you're 20, because if you wait till you're 60 to save for retirement, it's gonna take a whole lot. And that's kind of what you're looking at here, is as you get closer to that time, it's gonna go up. And with the fact that, the 7% return versus a 5% return, that's about, I can't remember the numbers, but it's about $100,000 to $120,000 in lost, opportunity of return, that the actuary is saying that, at 7%, you'd have another 100,000 and a compounding of that. So, there's 100,000 a couple years down the road is, quite a bit of money.
When you talk about the $2.5 million threshold for equity investments, is that balance on hand, or do we just simply have to reach that threshold one time, and then it gives us the liberty to?
No, it'd have to be on hand. It's got to be maintained.
It needs to stay. Okay.
Trustees, any other comments or questions? Again, thank you very much for your time and effort for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
We're going to move back down to line item F. December 22nd, village board meeting. In the past, trustees, we have canceled this meeting due to the holidays. I would entertain a motion to do that again for 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Wicker, second by trustee Hupkey.
You want to say something about,
Do you want to do all these? I'm sorry, do you want to do all these as
Yeah.
one motion?
Well, you need to also include motion to pay usual and customary payrolls and accounts
Would
payable.
that be separate, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, at the January meeting.
Yeah.
You ratify.
Ratified at the January meeting.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Reichert?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes. Because we have canceled the December 22nd meeting, staff requests authority to pay the bills for ratification in January. Motion should state that to pay the usual customary payroll accounts payable for December 22nd, 2014 meeting, and to ratify the payment of the January meeting.
Did we get that in the first motion, or do we need to do this? Okay.
Yeah, I need to do a second. Let's do a third for the Christmas. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to
Motion.
pay the bills and ratify.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Ricker.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Reichert?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes. Christmas Eve Village Hall hours. In recent years, the board has granted permission to close the Village Hall on Christmas Eve. Staff uses accumulated vacation or other, time on this day off, for this day off. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to allow the Village Hall to be closed on Christmas Eve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Wicker.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Reichert? And Mr. Forsythe?
Yes. Next agenda item is questions of the press.
Who's going?
She's gone. If she comes back, we'll talk to her after the meeting. Donna, is there any correspondence, communications, or petitions?
No, nothing to do right now.
We have that Legion letter? That Legion letter?
That was gonna end up being,
Next agenda.
Okay,
on
I'm
the
sorry.
next agenda. Mr. Butler had come in on Friday.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Trustees?
Next week's last week for leaf pickup, correct?
First, I believe it's the first, it goes through the first week of December. Weather permitting.
Guess what else is snow?
Well, on behalf of the village of Peotone, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving for this board and for our citizens out there. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the November 24th, 2014 village meeting.
Motion. Second.
Motion by trustee Huckey, second by trustee Hack.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
Mr. Butler.
Yes.
Mr. Riker.
Yes.
And Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.